Our cooperative represents over 120 independent bookstores across Quebec, Maritimes, Ontario, and Manitoba. So in today, independent bookstores are facing serious challenges in today's digital marketplace. So we are combining people and technology to offer advanced tools, services, and shared knowledge in order to position independent bookstores as a central force in the online book trade, therefore leveling the playing field in the face of the web giants. Metadata plays a key role in achieving that by connecting the right books to the right readers, to the right channels. We give the kind of experience that customers expect in 2025.
And I'm Christian Roy, so I'm the founder and CEO of A10S. We're a consultancy firm that works both on metadata projects and products that use AI to create metadata, mainly in the cultural sector. So I'm a LesLibraires partner in the project that we're going to present today.
I'm just going to show some key metrics that demonstrate our established presence and impact in the Canadian independent bookstore landscape. So we've spent more than 15 years serving independent bookstores. During that time, we've generated over $100 million in sales through our online platforms, and 9.5 million Google searches drive traffic to our sites annually. During the COVID-19 pandemic, as you can imagine, LesLibraires.ca became a vital alternative to dominant e-commerce platforms and enabled readers to support local bookstores online during the lockdowns. So I'm going to take a, all right. Pulling innovation for Canadian independent bookstores and publishers. Our work has gained significant traction, both through official recognition and strategic funding, which validates our approach and highlights the national level support behind our initiative. We are very proud to have received funding from the Canada Council for the Arts through the highly competitive Strategic Innovation Fund, which supports long-term collaborative initiatives with the potential for sustainable nationwide impact. We are deeply grateful for this opportunity that will allow us to expand our reach beyond LesLibraires.ca with the launch of Booksellers.ca. So considering that independent bookstores need technological allies to succeed, giving up the struggle against web giants would erode brick and mortar businesses. Market share can be reclaimed from chains and online giants. And considering that new revenue opportunities will emerge from a unified discovery platform, Booksellers.ca will be a cohesive one-stop shop platform to serve communities, encourage people to shop locally, and also preserve the unique nature of independent bookstores. So this is a new platform that will allow us to also, push our efforts with advanced metadata and discoverability, and reach a much wider audience than we currently do with LesLibraires.ca. And we'll take a slide change. So what makes us different? I'm just going to go over a few key parts of this project. We have combined inventories where customers can search all participating independent stores simultaneously. We have smart fulfillment with orders that are routed to the best store, split when needed for fast delivery, and always bring a solid customer experience. We have centralized customer service for high quality support while preserving the personal touch of independent bookstores. And we bring fair business conditions to compete effectively against the giants. So we believe that all of this innovation will help level the playing field and give bookstores and publishers of all sizes the tools that they need to stand out. We also aim to revolutionize book discoverability by making it easier for readers to connect with the right titles faster and more intuitively, going beyond the metadata that's currently available. One area of focus is by extracting meaningful insights directly from the book content, and which is what Christian is going to talk about in a few minutes. But this in turn will enhance the SEO performance through richer, more dynamic metadata, and allow these books and publishers to stand out from the platform. Ultimately, we are working to bridge a gap between the traditional metadata and the real reader preferences, helping readers discover what they are actually searching for. We are also committed to supporting bilingual publishing as a core part of the project, ensuring that both English and French titles are equally represented and accessible.
So thank you, Samuel. I'm now going to give you some background information on a specific part of that project. So as Samuel said, this is a broad initiative supported by the Canadian Council for the Arts. And a part of it involves, well, most parts of it involve working, having publishers and booksellers work together to improve Canadian book discoverability. And one sub-project, one part of it, and this is the one we're going to discuss today, involves working with actual book content and improving discoverability through innovative means. And before we describe those, I think we need to take a step back. And I want to discuss 3 topics that we talk every day when we refer to online book selling, but that have interactions that may not be so obvious. So metadata, discoverability, and user experience. Those are 3 very important concepts. They're linked together, and you may wonder, exactly how and what that means in terms of innovative projects. So to do that, what I suggest is that we have a look at the typical building blocks of any book selling website. So those observations I'm making with you are not only about LesLibraires, they're about and booksellers.ca. Those are things we see in general. Any website that sells books has a detailed book page with basic information such as the title of the book, the author, a short description, a cover page image, and maybe some more advanced metadata, publishing date, classifications, etc. Typically, for users to reach those pages, a search engine is made available. So a search engine is for those users who know well enough what they're looking for to be able to pick a few words, a few keywords, either from the title, the description, maybe the author name, the publisher name, and type that in a search engine, and typically will offer multiple results. Other types of users, and that's why the book selling websites offer multiple ways of navigation. Some users prefer navigating; they prefer browsing. So that means categories and subcategories. So ways to explore all those hundreds of thousands of books available on the website. And a variation on that is all types of marketing initiatives, such as blog posts or magazine articles in the case of LesLibraires, or maybe sometimes it's only selections, book curation under a specific subject, such as here are a few books you should read on the beach this summer because it's something you want to market at some point. So those typical, what I call building blocks in a online bookselling website are more often now, but it's not always the case, enhanced through personalized recommendations. So all the blocks I mentioned before are the same for all the users. In the case of personalized recommendations, the bookstores will start to use data they have about the user. So maybe purchase histories or engagement history, such as likes or ratings on books, to pick books that are, that better meet what the algorithm or what the website think is the user's need. So this is something that is on LesLibraires and booksellers.ca. It's not on all websites, and you'll see it in different forms. But this is also one of the important building blocks of the user experience, or what makes a book selling website. Finally, the last one I wanted to mention is a bit I'm cheating because it's not an actual building block of the website itself, but it's all the things that exist outside of the website, but that bring visitors to it. So I'm referring to newsletters. So either, the same newsletter for everyone, or maybe personalized newsletters that help funnel users to the website, as well as other offsite efforts, such as search engine optimization. So using search engines to surface the book selling website or the books themselves, and engage the users in a journey that will bring them to the website and eventually to buying that book. So what's the the underlying scheme there is that all the building blocks of a online web selling site, they're all powered by metadata. All of them cannot exist if we don't have quality metadata. And together they create the user experience, and it will be unique to each of those websites depending on how you combine those building blocks and how much effort you put in each of them. But also they contribute to discoverability. And I tend to separate external and internal discoverability. So external discoverability is what I mentioned before, using search engines or eventually large language models such as ChatGPT to make users discover the online website where they can purchase those books. And then working on the internal discoverability, so how people, once they're on the website, discover books, authors, publishers, etc. So, like I said, all the building blocks create the discoverability, they create the user experience, and they're all based on the metadata. So that's the link between these three important concepts, is that they're all related together. So I was telling you all that just to set the basis for what's next, which is given that what made LesLibraires think about the project that we're talking today, and how we came up with the idea for the robot reader, which I'm going to show in a few minutes. And I think in that case, we have to look at the context and the opportunities that were given to LesLibraires recently, a few years ago. At that time, they were going through a website redesign, and they did a lot of UX research, having external auditors look at the UX, do recommendations, and they did the same for SEO, which is very important in an e-commerce context. And all the audits came out great. Metadata were ingested correctly. They were using the full set of the Onyx tags that they were receiving. Discoverability was good. UX was good. Obviously, there were some improvements, and those improvements were added to the website during the redesign. But there was one thing that was still bothering us, and I will use us to include myself in that, and in the reflection, in the thinking at the time. It was that even though all the audits came out good, the website still looked like all the other online websites. So even though it was good, it was not differentiating. It wasn't that different. And the reason behind that is that if you're using the same data, the same metadata, through the same building blocks, you end up with the same user experience. So the thinking at the time was, how can we differentiate ourselves? And can we do better either with the metadata we already have, or by gathering more metadata, or generating more metadata? So while brainstorming through that, we decided to try to build a typology of all the data we have about books. And to create that typology, we decided to classify metadata as either created on the product side or the consumer side, and then to also classify it as being either more descriptive or more related to the experience, the reading experience. So based on that, we built a matrix. And here's the matrix. When I'm referring to product side descriptive metadata, I'm referring to the more traditional data that we, the catalog metadata, title, author, description. And this data is generally, it's created by the publishers, and maybe with, people in publishing houses. And they're very important data. They're the basics of what I just showed, all the building blocks and all the UX that we have today. When you're on a bookselling website, you also have consumer-created data that is still descriptive. So I'm referring to marketing and merchandising. The selections, the article, the blog posts I referred to earlier, the recommendations. And sometimes it's not only booksellers, it's librarians, maybe it's critics in the media. So those are consumer-side descriptive data. Also, when you're creating an online bookselling website, you'll have experiential data from the consumers. So something more closely related to the act of reading the book. So this takes the form of, likes, ratings, reviews. So user-generated, consumer-generated content that relates to the reading experience. And then we realized we had no data, no experiential data from the book itself. And the question became, if we know what creators tell us about the books in the form of structured data, if we know what professionals tell us about the book, if we know what readers say about the book, could we have the book speak for itself as well? Could we somehow transfer, automate or create a way to have to fill out our matrix? There was one blind spot in our matrix of all the potential data about books. So, at this point, we thought automation and AI may help us. And in my case, I had been working for multiple years on a project called TAMIS. I introduced it in 2019, which sounds like 100 years ago in terms of the AI landscape. So that was presented at Tech Forum at that time. And Project TAMIS was exploring how using AI, so not generative AI, but more traditional language processing algorithms, how through a specific subtopic of natural language processing, which is called named entity extraction, how we could create data about books. And named entity extraction means going through the text and figuring out all the entities that are mentioned in that text. So places, people, events, organization, animals, planets, diseases, etc. Everything that is mentioned in a book, in any paragraph, in any sentence, is an entity. And our hypothesis at the time, and that's still what's behind the Robot Reader project, is that those entities tell a lot about the experience you will get when reading that book, the things you will learn about, the things, the emotions you will get, and the things that, the context that will be evocated through the book. So if we recap everything that I said, the LesLibraires had clear objectives of, differentiation and improving their SEO on long-tail keywords. We had that opportunity of the website redesign and TAMIS being in development, that technology for extracting entities from books. And the LesLibraires staff and the team, the leadership team at the time, really wanted to work with publishers on all new initiatives, not do that, just on their end, and also use technology to help human creators, to help their staff do better, not replace the human creators or the people that typically do the marketing for books. And that's where the Robot Reader project came in. That's how it was created. And that's why we're presenting it to you today. It was introduced on the French version of LesLibraires 2 years ago. And now we're hoping to deploy it on the for English books, for English Canadian books. So what that means concretely, once all that being said, the Robot Reader is something that exists in multiple places in the LesLibraires.ca or booksellers.ca experience. There's even a fact that will help you understand how it works. But I would say that the best way to experience it is to go through the search engine. So there's a specific search engine page for the Robot Reader, but it's also embedded in the regular search engine. So anytime an end user searches anything in the search engine, we will obviously surface those books that contain, the keyword within their title or description, but also those books that refer to that entity as per the robot reader data. So in the example you're seeing on screen, users searching for content about Leonard Cohen. Obviously, if we have a Leonard Cohen biography, this will come up. But also, if we have a fiction book where the characters like the music of Cohen a lot and they listen to it through the story, it will also be showcased in the results. And once users go to the actual page for that book, they will have short excerpts showing where Cohen was mentioned in the story and how it fits within their search. So that works like we said for people, but also for places, for events, etc. All the types of entities I mentioned. For each book that is in the program, we'll select between 5 and 10 major or dominant entities. So we will not expose the 2,000 entities that you will get in a typical book to the users, because a lot of them may be mentioned only once or maybe less relevant, but the most relevant ones will be indexed and available through the search engine. So that's the first example of how internal discoverability is influenced by those entities, the items that the AI got from the content. We've also worked on external discoverability. So what you're seeing on screen may mean nothing to you, and I won't go into the technical details. This is schema.org structured metadata markup that is embedded in the web pages. So it's an SEO technique where all the books on the website are described in a structured manner. So you could see schema.org as, Onyx is for the book supply chain, to what schema is for the search engine. So it's a means of transferring information. And so all the entities which I mentioned are also embedded within those structured data, having an impact on SEO. Another initiative that is related to robot reader is actually not automated. It's helping humans do a different job, do a different marketing job for the books. So that's something I mentioned within the concerns or the objectives of the LesLibraires team. So what we're doing is that the people doing the marketing for content on the LesLibraires, so for blog posts or selections, have access to the full TAMI database. So which means that they can dive, they can go deeper in all the entities, search all of them. So I mentioned that in the book page will show from 5 to 10. The staff has access to all the thousands of entities in all those books and can create very original content. So the example you're seeing on screen says 10 books about Les Cowboys Fringants. So Les Cowboys Fringants is a very famous music band in Quebec, and they're so famous that they've started, they're very often mentioned in fiction, in because they have such important cultural importance. So that blog post is 10 books that refer to Les Cowboys Fringants. So it's not biographies about them. It's not something that, a book that would have their name on the title. It's books where the characters, like their music, etc. A bit like the Cohen example I mentioned earlier. And the benefits of those is obviously it's something that most human curators couldn't have done without being helped by an advanced search tool like TAMI. And then it has a super good influence on external discoverability. Those types of articles are by definition very viral. Those are the types of articles that fans from the band will share on social media, but also that search engines like. So when we released that article the day after first result on Google for books about Les Cowboys Fringants was that article with the actual list of books. And then once you click, you would end up on that page. And the form that Google gives to that is always changing. And as you know, and they're changing a lot now. So sometimes they will show pills or small panels with the book cover pages. But this is all, like I said earlier, a strategy for long tail keywords that comes from both the marketing, the structured data, the content of the pages, etc. So that's a short overview of what the robot reader does now. As I mentioned before, we're working on a project to have English language content. So right now, the robot reader has read French language, French Canadian content. And what's coming next, obviously, like I said, we want to add English content. And for both languages content, we want the reader to be able to generate a bit more data that can be used to build better recommendations. So in our roadmap, in our R&D research and development plate are the 3 following initiatives. So text difficulty level. Is it a very difficult or easy book? And this is the type of information that may help for a user to choose a book, but also for an algorithm, that looks at engagement history to suggest more relevant books. We're also exploring detecting the shape or the type of the story arcs. So there are basic patterns in stories. We think the AI can detect that and use that as a recommendation, as a signal for recommendations to make better recommendations. And in the end, what we're aiming at is to be able to match those books with reader intents. So being able to say when readers need to educate themselves, or what they want to relax, or they want to laugh, or they want to be surprised, there are some books that will meet those requirements. So we think that by working through the entities, but also the difficulty levels, the traditional metadata, plus the story arcs, at some point we can have something that will get the content closer to the reader intents. So at this point, maybe I will recap the results and the benefits of all this initiative. And we think, we've seen it over the last few years, and we want to build on that. The adoption of a tool like actually TAMI, the technology that makes the robot reader possible, is to improve discoverability on the titles. The titles that go through that robot reader initiative benefit from better discoverability on the website and also externally. And it's a project that is a very good example of publisher and bookseller collaboration. All those, the processing the books, etc., is always done with the participation, with the consent and participation of the publishers, and publishers have control on what goes to the site or not. It gives obviously increased market reach, and it's cost effective in the sense that it's all automated. Once you decide to participate in the program and you've signed the agreement, everything, the eBound platform is linked to TAMI and LesLibraires, and the information is all processed automatically. If you want, you can log in, you have access, and you can fine tune what goes in there. But by default, everything is automated, and there's no need to work on the actual, in doing anything. It's a zero-click process. So the next steps, before we take a few minutes to answer any questions you may have, I just wanted to say that if you're interested in the initiative, either you have questions or you're ready to participate, you can reach out to Emma, and she will obviously send your questions to us if needed. And then I would like to say thank you to all of you for being here today, but also thank all the partners of the project, including the Canadian government, the Quebec government, and the Canada Council for the Arts, which is behind the grant for that specific project. So I'm taking my breath now, but I'm ready for questions.
Yeah, I put my email in the chat. I think everyone here has it memorized by now, but it's in the chat. If you want to sign up immediately, you can do so by emailing me, and then I will send you just the data sharing agreement, just so you can get an overview of how everything works. And then essentially I would set up the channel for you in CoreSource, and it would just be a matter of sending your titles. So if there are any questions about the project itself or the process to sign up, please do feel free to let us know. You can jump in, put up a hand, or feel free to write it in the chat. And we'll just pause for effect. Okay, there is one in the chat. I'm going to read it out for accessibility reasons. So Bruce from, I'm sorry, Bruce, I'm forgetting where you're, I want to say Orca. Yeah. To clarify, Robot Reader and TAMIS ingest texts and creates entities. These entities are then exposed to the greater internet in general. And is the text and text analysis itself stored somewhere? I assume many of us have now have no AI clauses in contracts, so that is a potential issue. That's a great comment and question.
Yeah. So there are multiple parts to the question. So yes, TAMIS and the robot reader ingest the text to extract the entities. Then the entities are not exposed on the greater internet. You know, the 2,000 or 3,000 entities for a single book are not exposed. They're only available through a web-based console that has a login name and password, you know, secured access. And then the 5 or 10 entities that are detected as dominant are exposed to the greater internet with up to maximum 5 excerpts, each of them being a maximum of 1,000 characters. So currently, that's the part of the content that's actually exposed on the LesLibraires or booksellers.ca website. So it's a very limited subset of all the entities and all the content. So the way, and then the last question was, is the text stored somewhere? So the text is stored on our secure servers to do the processing of the content itself, and then obviously the entities are stored with them as well. Does that answer the question? So 1,000 characters, Max. Sorry, maybe I said words, but I meant characters. Okay, good. I said characters.
Thanks, Bruce. Any other questions about the robot reader project or what can be done with the metadata or the process? Happy to take them. Hey, Nancy from Books We Love. What about the AI issue Bruce mentions? So AI clauses in the contracts, I believe Nancy is referring to.
Well, I guess it depends on the exact wording about, on those clauses. What we can say is that, as I said, we're not using generative AI. This is more an analytic AI that goes through the text, and it's the actual content is not used for training AI. So it's basically what we're using is a library that goes through the text, identifies the entities, and logs them. So if your clauses are as general as don't get any closer than 5 meters from an AI library, maybe the clause is a problem. If the clause says that the content cannot be used for training an AI, well, that's covered because we don't do that. You know, we just go through the text, and we don't. You know, it's not stored on an LLM provider or something like that. It's stored on our own servers.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, but this is a proprietary algorithm and AI, and so it's kind of a closed loop, right? It goes in, but it never goes out to any third party that would ingest that data or process that data,
exactly,
or do training on that data. So it's completely different from the use of AI we're usually hearing about in 2025. This is a purpose-built machine for that.
Correct.
Yeah, so very, very different from the ChatGPT or Gemini world that is not necessarily protecting the copyright.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Nancy. Any other concerns or questions we can review while you have us? Okay, Robin Grant from HARP. Some praise for me, which is lovely. Can attendees get a simple follow-up email highlighting the benefits as well as next steps? Yeah, I'm happy to put that together with Christian. We do have a 2-pager PDF file that was created that we can follow up with, and some instructions on what to do next. Bruce, again from Orca, is there access to the greater store of entities or just your own?
Yeah, it's just your own. Just your own. So it's once you log in, you'll have your catalog, obviously, and then all the entities related to your own catalog.
Okay, good. A couple other questions. This is great. Nancy from BWL again. Is there a cost to sign up? No.
No.
No,
This is covered by the Canada Council for the Arts grant.
Yes, so it will be at no charge to eBound members for the time being. And then we have a question from Matt at Nancy. Do users of LesLibraires ever find that they are unsure why they're seeing a title come up in search results when a title is being surfaced based on TAMIS named entities as opposed to traditional ONIX? So is it easy to parse for the?
It's a very good question. I went quickly and my screenshot was a bit small, but in the search result panel there are subsections, and each of them says where the data is from. So in theory, and then UX research shows that theory is not always the practice, but in theory there's a clear tag that says this is from the robot reader. Afterwards, now maybe some users get confused by that, but it's clearly identified on the left-hand side of the result window. So sorry, my screenshot, as I said, was a bit small, but it's there.
Yeah, we haven't heard any reports of a large number of users having issues with that. Yeah, and when you're actually looking at a book, it's very clearly defined in its own section, and it's actually quite fun to use because then you can see the excerpts from the book, things like that. So it's very clear, we think.
Great questions. I am always available by email if you think of anything else. So as we said, feel free to email me if you would like to opt in, and we will get you set up. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending today. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to working with you on this new exciting initiative. And thank you so much to both Samuel and Christian for their wonderful presentation.
Thank you for welcoming us. Thanks, everyone.